Power is rarely taken, it is silently transferred, not with bullets but with banks, not through invasions but through influence. For nearly a century the West shaped the world, its rules, its money, its map. But now, something is shifting beneath the surface, quietly, deliberately. A new coalition is rising, one that seeks not just a seat at the table, but to build a new table altogether. This is the story of BRICS versus the West, a battle not declared, but unfolding all around us. The silent battle for global power has already begun. In 2001, the world heard a strange acronym for the first time. An economist from Goldman Sachs coined it: BRIC: Brazil, Russia, India, China. 4 large, fast-growing economies with nothing in common except one thing: potential. No one took it seriously, not even the countries themselves. But 20 years later, BRIC had evolved into BRICS, with South Africa joining in 2010, and something remarkable began to happen. These nations, once dismissed as developing or emerging markets, started asking a forbidden question. Why does the world still run on Western rules? 2014, Russia annexes Crimea, the West imposes sanctions, but in the East, a quiet shift begins. Russia turns to China, trade deals, military exercises, energy pipelines bypassing the dollar. BRICS begins to form not just as an economic bloc, but a political alliance, bound not by ideology but by one goal: to end Western dominance. They build their own bank, the New Development Bank, as an alternative to the IMF and World Bank. They begin exploring a BRICS payment system, a BRICS currency. Each summit, once symbolic, now becomes strategic. The West watches, quietly, nervously. Then in 2023, the real bombshell drops. At the Johannesburg summit, BRICS expands. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, UAE, Ethiopia, Argentina, a bloc that once represented hope, now represents a global alternative. They now control 45% of the world's population, over 37% of global GDP, and some of the world's largest energy reserves. This is no longer a group, it's a challenge. A new power center is forming. For the first time in decades, the world is watching a realignment of global power, not through conquest, but through coalition. The battle is not loud, it is not declared, but it is here, and it's only just begun. To understand the rebellion, we must understand the empire. In 1944, with World War II still raging, 44 allied nations gathered in New Hampshire, USA. The goal: rebuild the global financial system. The result: the Bretton Woods Agreement. The dollar was crowned king, backed by gold. Trusted by war-ravaged nations, institutions were created: the IMF, the World Bank. Not neutral, not global, but Western, by design. These institutions offered help, with conditions. Loans came with strings, reforms were forced, austerity demanded, nations became debtors, dependent, silent, and through it all, the dollar reigned supreme. Not just a currency, but a weapon, a key to the kingdom of international trade. In 1971, President Nixon untied the dollar from gold. Now the dollar was backed by nothing, except trust. But that trust was enough. Why? Because oil was traded in dollars. Every barrel, every shipment, every drop, priced in green. Petrodollar diplomacy was born. The West didn't just sell oil, it sold the system. Saudi Arabia agreed to sell oil only in dollars. In return, it got weapons, security, and power. Every country now needed dollars to get oil to survive. The dollar was no longer just currency, it was oxygen. By the 1990s, the Western-led system had won. The USSR collapsed. China opened up, globalization spread. But something else was spreading too: resentment. Because while the West profited, others paid. With sovereignty, with silence. The West offered order, but only on its terms. And slowly, nations began asking, what if there's another way? That question became BRICS. The battle wasn't starting, it had already started, just not with guns, not with bombs, but with currency, with credit, with quiet control. Empires fall not when their armies are defeated, but when their currencies are questioned. And now the dollar, the cornerstone of Western dominance, is under quiet siege, led not by bullets, but by BRICS. The West had the IMF, the World Bank. So BRICS responded, with the New Development Bank. And China added a second punch, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Billions began flowing. without Western strings attached. Infrastructure, railways, energy, loans with fewer lectures, and for the first time developing nations had a choice. In 2022, the dollar's dark side became visible again. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the West froze hundreds of billions in reserves, kicked Russian banks off SWIFT, collapsed the ruble, almost. But instead of surrender, something else happened. Russia turned east. Gas began flowing to China, not in dollars but in yuan. Trade with India shifted to rupees and rubles. Iran joined in, then Turkey, then the UAE, and suddenly cracks began appearing in the dollar's global wall. At the 2023 BRICS summit, a new term emerged: BRICS Pay. A financial system that could allow cross-border transactions without SWIFT, without Visa, without MasterCard. A system beyond the dollar. It's still early, it's still fragile, but every empire begins with an idea. And BRICS Pay is that idea. Latin America watches. Africa leans closer. Because when you've been trapped in a debt spiral for 50 years, any door that leads away from the IMF is worth exploring. And BRICS offers that door. The dollar is still king, but it is no longer unchallenged. Each oil deal not priced in dollars is a rebellion. Each yuan settlement is a quiet shot fired. And as BRICS grows, so do those shots. Not with noise, but with intent. This is not just finance. It's a new front in the war for global power. Empires don't fall in a day, but they do fall. And when currency trust cracks, the collapse is only a matter of time. The counterattack has begun. And in Africa, in Latin America, the whispers grow louder. These regions have long been treated as pawns, but BRICS offers them something new, a voice, infrastructure without conditions, loans without lectures. For the first time in a century, the global south sees a way out. The G7 still holds power, technology, capital, military, but BRICS holds something else: population, resources, momentum. The West has the present. BRICS wants the future. New alliances emerge, old ones shift, from SCO to ASEAN to BRICS Plus. A new web is being spun. Not one world under one order, but many worlds, many orders. This is not just a new map, it's a new era. Every great rivalry needs its battlefield, but in the 21st century, battlefields are no longer just land, sea, or sky. They are digital, financial, technological. And the new war between BRICS and the West is being fought in arenas no army ever marched into. So what happens if BRICS wins? Well, it's not really a military victory, but, it's an economic one. A systemic one, honestly. It's a victory that changes how the world trades, governs, and even lives. Every rising power faces a question: what if it falls? What if BRICS, this coalition of ambition and opposition, just collapses under its own weight? We are at a crossroads. The old world is still breathing, but the new one is being born. Not in revolutions, but in realignments.